So I was watching something the other day, and it had me thinking for a minute, right? They were talking about this situation with Pooh, Shiesty, and Gucci Man, and I'm not here to speak on what actually happened, but I couldn't stop thinking about the mindset behind it. Because when you really look at situations like that, it makes you ask a different question. You know what I mean? Like, how do you go from having an opportunity, having money, having a way out, to putting yourself right back in the same position you came from? And that's when it hit me. Like, maybe it's not about what you have, you know what I mean? It's about who you are, you know? Because a lot of people think if I just had money, you know what I mean, I move different, I live better, I make smarter decisions. But that's not always true. Money don't change you. It exposes you. You know what I mean? It shows you your habits, your mindset, hell, your discipline. You know what I'm saying? I always talk about that, or the lack of it. You know what I mean? And you never work on that. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter how much you level up, you'll find a way to go right back down. And I've seen this in real life. You feel me? People get a chance, and instead of, growing into it, they bring their own, mindset into a new situation. You know what I mean? Same thinking, different environment. You know what I mean? And that could get real spooky. You know what I mean? Because now you got more to lose. You feel me? And see, when you broke, mistakes is a little bit different. You feel me? Mistakes is a little bit different when you broke. But when you finally start building something, one bad decision could take everything. You know what I mean? And the part people don't really speak on sometimes is people don't know how to be in a new life. I feel like, people just don't know how to be in a new life. They are used to chaos, you know what I mean? Used to certain habits, used to a certain environment. So even when life changes, unfortunately, you know what I mean, they don't. You know what I mean? And eventually, as you can see in this situation, they go back to what feels familiar. You know what I mean? And it's I feel like it's not necessarily because it's better, but maybe because it's comfortable. You know what I'm saying? And that right there, that's how people be losing everything, bro. It's not always about opportunity. It's about, identity. Because if you still see yourself the same way, you're gonna move the same way. You know what I mean? No matter how much money you got. You feel me? And I had to think about that for myself too, because it's easy to look at situations like this and judge. But the real question is, what part of my life am I still holding on to that don't match where I'm trying to go? You know what I mean? Because I feel like when you growing, it's not just about getting more. It's about becoming different. You know what I mean? New mindset, new discipline, new standards. You know what I mean? And that part, that's like the hardest part, because you gotta let go of old habits, you know what I mean? People, ways of thinking, you know what I mean? Even if it feels like it's normal, it's just crazy. But I say this, right? If you don't, you'll sabotage yourself without even realizing it. You know what I mean? And it feels like that's where a lot of people get stuck. Like, they want a new life, but they don't want to become a new version of themselves. You feel me? And unfortunately, it don't work like that. At some point, right? At some point, you got to decide, you know what I mean? Am I really trying to grow, or am I trying to upgrade my situation? You know what I'm saying? You know what? Let me rephrase that. You feel me? Upgrade my situation without upgrading myself. I like that better, because those are two different things. You feel me? Those are two different things, and one leads to progress, the other leads right back to where you started. So if you really trying to level up, this is what matters most. You feel me? Not just what you're building, but who you're becoming. Because if you don't change that, nothing else is gonna last. You feel me? Like it's just nothing is gonna last, nothing is gonna change. You know what I mean? Like it's not gonna matter. So yeah, money can open doors, opportunities can change your environment, but none of that means anything if you still think the same. And that's the part people don't want to face, I feel like. You know what I mean? So listen, I ain't gonna sit here and ramble all day, so I'm gonna leave you with this, right? If your life started changing today, would you actually be ready for it? Or would you bring your old habits into your new opportunity? And potentially, risk losing it all. You know what I mean? Be honest, you feel me? And that's something that, I want my people to think about. You know what I mean? Because this whole Pooh, Shiesty, and Gucci Man situation, it don't make no sense to me. You feel me? It don't make no sense to me. But leave a comment in the comment section below. Again, I go by the name of Stash Cash, and until next time, I see y'all again on the next video. Yeah.